and welcome to the early to midday nightly daily show. I'm Ned Ertzberger. We have a great show lined up for you today. For starters, we have somewhat of a Civil War expert with us today.
Hello, my name is Don Lee Jiggleboskin, a Civil War expert, but you might have seen me on the toilet paper commercial.
Thanks, Don. So, 'tis the season for those beautifully ugly Christmas sweaters. What can you tell us about them?
Well, Ned, if it weren't for the mass production of cotton from the cotton gin, you probably wouldn't be wearing that lovely sweater right now.
Wow, thanks, Don. But how is that related to the Civil War? Because you are a Civil War expert.
Well, Ned, the cotton gin created a huge need for slavery, which resulted in a large slavery boom. That led many people to wondering if slavery was moral or not. This turned the North and South against each other.
They just couldn't get enough of those sweaters.
The cotton gin sure was and still is important, but it's nothing compared to the importance of the Underground Railroad.
Can you explain to me why it was not a railroad, nor was it underground?
The Underground Railroad was the name of a network of safe houses and routes that helped slaves escape to free states. It showed the persistence of slaves trying to escape their harsh realities and caused many Northerners to feel sympathetic towards them.
I see, but it does not compare to John Brown's raid.
Well, why do you say that?
Because John Brown's raid on Harper's Ferry was the first altercation between the North and the South on the issue of slavery. He also fought with the slaves and abolitionists.
Oh yes, even though he was hanged, he became a symbol of rebellion for the North.
Oh my gosh, are you bleeding?
Yeah, but not as much as Bleeding Kansas!
What about Bleeding Kansas?
Well, when Kansas had the opportunity to choose whether it was a free or slave state, many pro- and anti-slavery believers flooded Kansas to try to sway the state of their opinion with their vote. While Kansas became a free state in 1861, the South was infuriated.
Ah, I see, but wouldn't you say that Uncle Tom's Cabin is fairly influential as well?
Oh yeah, that was a novel that depicted the life of an everyday slave in the South, written by Harriet Beecher Stowe. The book caused many Northerners to become disgusted with the South's immorality.
Things really began to get heated between the North and the South, especially after the Missouri Compromise.
Ah yes, the Missouri Compromise that had been going on for a long time before Bleeding Kansas. The North really imposed that 36-30 line between slave and free states, and every time the South tried to gain a slave state, the North would remind them of that compromise.
Yeah, but the argument between the North and the South over federal versus state power was definitely more influential over the Civil War.
How?
Well, it's an argument that is still going on today. The North believed that the federal government should have more power than the state government, and the South felt the opposite way.
Well, I can certainly see how they would cause them to butt heads, but the Sanford versus Scott case was way more influential in causing the Civil War, because the Supreme Court ruled that slaves that made their way to free states still were not free, and this forced people to choose a side, either anti-slavery or pro-slavery.
But how can you top the Southern secession? When Abraham Lincoln was elected president, 11 states seceded from the nation to form the Confederate States of America. Abraham Lincoln called thousands of Americans
But that's
to
not the most
basically
important,
make their
that's
own
not the
country.
most influential. You can never amount to the greatest election of mankind. The election of 1860 was the single most important cause for the Civil War. Abraham Lincoln, a Republican anti-slavery candidate, won the election and pitted the North and South against each other, which led to the Southern secession.
I guess you're right. Stay classy, America, and we'll see you tomorrow on the early to midday nightly daily show.